boxing has became a popularity contest. If you have 1 million followers, that automatically means you're good. I know people who have 200,000 followers and they have like multiple losses, but they post a video on Instagram that looks good, shadow boxing, and then they get a lot of viewers and follows and stuff. So boxing became a popularity contest, and it's kind of annoying because it's like, bro, everybody is like Lamont Roach. Oh, who the fuck Lamont Roach was? But if you know Lamont Roach, you know who he is. And I've known Lamont since 2009, and I've known that he's always been good. So it's one of those things where boxing became a popularity contest, and it's kind of annoying, but it is what it is, you know. Like people know who I am, and you know, the people here in San Antonio know what I'm about. So
hey, what's up? This is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Now, who's ready for some fighting words? In this video, I want to do a fight breakdown for Ramon Cardenas versus Naoya Inoue. Really quick, if you like the videos, please take the time right now to subscribe to the channel. Literally, it takes one click, so go ahead and do that right now. Also, hit that thumbs up button. It shows love and it supports this channel. So this fight breakdown is a spotlight video, or I'm just going to showcase one guy, and it's going to be all about Ramon Cardenas and his strengths and his abilities and what he brings to the table when he will be facing the monster himself, Naoya Inoue. And soon there will be a version of this coming for Naoya Inoue, of course, and then we will have the fight breakdown. So without further ado, let me start off with saying Ramon Cardenas is said to be, or said that he's going to be, Naoya Inoue's toughest competitor yet. And I don't know how I feel about that, because I gotta be honest. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if he's gonna be his toughest competitor. I felt like Stephen Fulton was supposed to be the toughest competitor. Neri was. So I don't know how he's gonna match up. I think it's gonna be interesting. I do think he's gonna, you know, he's gonna show up, and I think he's gonna try to show out. But the monster has a way of conquering all the mountains and all the hills. Let's see. So Ramon Cardenas, he has 26 fights, 14 KOs, and 1 loss. What makes Cardenas dangerous? Let's see. One of the things, you know, I've watched a few of his fights, and I think he's fearless. And I think when you're fighting Naoya Inoue, you have to be fearless. Why? Because you know there's a certain level of punishment you're going to have to endure. You're going to have to take. And you have to mentally prepare yourself, but also say to yourself, I'm going to get hit. Probably more than I've ever been hit. And it might hurt more than the other times. But I'm going to get hit. And you have to be conscious of that. And when he fights, I think he is conscious of that. I don't think he's afraid to get hit. I don't think, he's definitely not afraid to sit in the pocket and exchange blows. Let's see. I think he's also great at mixing up punches. I don't think he's a guy that you can read. I don't think he has I don't think Ramon Cardenas has a playbook. I think he just feels what's going on in the moment. And I think that spontaneousness and that, you know, just momentary creativity, I think could very much so work in his favor while he's facing Naoya Inoue. Because, you know, here's the thing. If you box, sometimes you can get somebody's cadence. And, well, a lot of times you can get somebody's cadence. You know, and everybody has a tell. But every once in a while you run across somebody who I don't honestly think they know what they're going to do from punch to punch, from round to round. So it's going to make it very difficult for you to gauge what's going to happen from punch to punch and round to round. And yeah, sometimes with guys like that, either you go for broke, you rush them, you keep them at distance. There's a lot of things you can do with them, you know, but at the same time, they're just always going to be difficult because you don't know what's coming back at you. Another thing that I feel like Ramon Cardenas is going to bring to the table is a deep amateur career background. He has over 100 amateur fights. And I think, and I've said this several times, if you're going to fight Naoya Inoue, you better know what you're doing, and you better know every nook and cranny of the ring. You better know the highs and lows of being in a ring. You need to know how to fight here and there and in different spots. You need to know how to fight power punchers. You need to know how to fight combination punchers. You need to know how to fight, you know, the high volume punchers. You need to know how to do all these things. And the only way you're going to truly learn those things is if you have a deep amateur background. You know, you've had a lot of fights. You have a lot of experience. This is not your first rodeo. You understand what comes with the territory when you step into the ring. That's important. That is very, very, very important, especially if you're fighting a monster. They don't call him a monster for nothing, you know? So, like, you need to know other ways of winning, because you might have to fall back on something else. You might, you know what? I'm doing this cross guard, and this cross guard ain't working. I'm doing this high guard, and this high guard isn't working. I might have to adjust. And I think that is one thing that I feel like Ramon Cardenas can do. He can adjust. But also, he's a patient guy. You know, he's not a high punch volume guy. He's not that. But he's a very patient guy. And I think sometimes if you're able to see what's going on and you can see the landscape, you know, I've said many times on the channel, you know, that I like history, but I like ancient wars. And, you know, there's Hannibal. He was good at reading his enemy's weaknesses, but he would do this weeks out. He wouldn't wait until the battle lines, you know, formed on each side. No, he would do this weeks out. And he's like, all right, this is what you're good at. And that probably could be a problem for me, so I'm not going to do that. And I think that's what Ramon Cardenas is really good at. You know, him just gauging, you know what, we're not doing that tonight because it might not go in my favor if we end up doing that. So we're not doing that tonight. Let's see. He's heavy-handed, and I've said it several times now. If you're going to fight Naoya Inoue, you need to have some type of... You need to keep him away from you, or you need to be able to back him off of you, because once he gets in his flow state and once he turns into Godzilla in the ring, then it turns into an all-out problem, and it turns into an all-out assault, no longer a boxing match. And usually when that happens, everybody is starting to witness the beginning of the end. And he is heavy-handed. I think he has one-punch knockout power. And I think he could get Naoya Inoue off of him. I think Naoya Inoue would have to respect his punching power and wouldn't just be reckless or anything like that in coming in, you know, and maybe not throw as many punches. Quite possibly. Let's see. So here's an interesting thing about Ramon Cardenas. The vast majority of his 14 knockouts have come as he's gone up in competition. That's important. Normally, you see a lot of knockouts in, you know, early in someone's career, you know, when they're fighting bums and, you know, taxi drivers. And then by the time they crack the top 10, that slows down tremendously. Or even a top 15, let me say it like that. That slows down tremendously, because now you're fighting guys who, you know, are top tier guys. They deserve to be here. They're here for a reason. You know, these guys also had extensive amateur backgrounds and careers. These guys have also tried out for the Olympics or gone to the Olympics. So these guys are no walk in a park. So, you know, now you're matching up with people more and more, versus when in the beginning of your career you were somewhere up here and the taxi driver was somewhere down here. And so that lets me know that he's willing to meet and match the competition level of whomever he's facing. So it shows a little bit of mental toughness. So I gotta respect it. Let's see. He's also a good counterpuncher. He has faced adversity in the past, and I think that's also important, that he has faced adversity, because he broke his hand once in one of his earlier fights. But he learned, and he even said this in an interview. He said, you know, I learned what I was made of. You know, like, because I never once thought of quitting. I never once thought of running to my corner and be like, oh, we got to call this thing off. My hand's broken. Never once did I think to do any of those things. I just thought I got to do something else because this is ineffective at this point. And again, that shows mental toughness. And again, you're dealing with someone that, anyway, he hits hard. He throws a lot of punches, and he's a very smart fighter. So at any point when you feel like, I don't know what I'm doing with this guy. I can't seem to catch him. I can't seem to pin him in. I don't know what to do. Now my eye is shut. I see 3 of him in there. What do I do? I think he'd be the type of guy who'd be willing to adjust and say, no retreat, no surrender. Let's see. Lastly, Lastly, let's. You know what? I think he has a balls to the wall type mentality, and I've always said if you're going to face Naoya Inoue, you need to have a not necessarily an I don't care type of personality, but you need to have the type of personality that says, "Is that all you got?" That's the type of personality that's going to give Naoya Inoue issues. Is that all you got? I thought you had more. I thought you hit harder. I thought you were faster. Is that all you got? You're so predictable. You can't think of anything more creative than that. That's the type of mentality that I think would give Naoya Inoue an issue. That's what I think. And I think Ramon Cardenas, he possesses a lot of these attributes. Now, whether or not he'll be able to actually implement these things on the night of is something totally separate. Totally separate. Again, they don't call him the monster for no reason. But also, again, we're talking about a two-time undisputed world champion going up in weight. So, but I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I think he is a good competitor for Naoya Inoue. And I look forward to this fight. I want you all to drop your thoughts down below.